Science Applications, Chapter 4. The basics. There are 4 ways to apply an idea. Some of these ways may or may not be legal. It all depends on the situation in question. Though it may not change the illegality of it, the consequences of not doing it may be worse than the consequences of doing it. I'll have some examples later on. In some ways, it may or may not be practical. It could be you don't have the equipment or something else you need to perform them. It could be just having the lack of simple knowledge. You only consider illegal activities in a life or death situation as present. For me to say otherwise would put myself in legal trouble. So obviously I can't advise that. Common interactions. Looking at the illustration, you can see that positive is at the top. This is when you add something to yourself or to the environment around you. And at the bottom is negative. This means you remove something from yourself or from the world around you. Now there are 2 ways you could do this. The first is order. The other is random. Order means everything happens in a set method. You know exactly what's going to happen, when, and why. Random means things happen without any idea of what's going to happen next. Anything can happen. Now, using the example side, everything you do influences something else. Doesn't matter what you do, there is some kind of reaction to the world around you. Even finding money on the street has some interaction. The next person along obviously can't pick it up if you already picked it up. Now, all choices here can be found in these 4 possibilities. The lack of something. I'll use food here as an example. There are 4 possibilities you can ask. Many towns and cities, they have food pantries where you can go in at a moment's notice and ask for food and they'll give you some. Or you can take what you need, which can be illegal, but it's also a choice. I'll get more into that later on. Now, I don't recommend doing it unless the consequences of not doing it are worse than doing it. I'll show you an example later. Now, farms will produce what you need. If you live on a farm, you'll always have something there that you can need if you're hungry. Or you can harvest it. Many cities and towns have tons of food around, and people just aren't used to looking at these things as food. As a matter of fact, they just chop them up and throw them away more times than not. An example here is grass. Look at how big horses are. They weigh thousands of pounds, and all they eat is grass. So it must have everything you need in it. But it has to be boiled, and you drink the tea that results in order to get the proper nutrients. Now, acorns. A handful of acorns has more protein in it than a pound of hamburger. Although you may need to boil this once or twice as well to take out the starchiness and the bitter taste to it. And there are also pine needles. Pound per pound, pine needles have more vitamin C than orange juice. Those are just examples of the common things all around us that are edible we just don't even look at. Now, for example, if you're hungry in a city, you could go to the shelter, or you go to a church and ask, or you can harvest some of the stuff that's up on the side of the ground. If you're hungry out in the middle of nowhere, say in a snowstorm, there probably isn't much that you can eat available or easy to find. But if you see a cabin, if you see food in the cabin, I wouldn't hesitate to go into the cabin and take what I needed. The consequences in this case will be worse than not doing it. If you're hungry on a farm, obviously you can harvest what you've made and you can produce. And then again, if you're hungry with your food in your pantry, you just simply open up your pantry door and take out what you need.